Hey girlfriend, welcome to another episode of The Girlfriend's Guide. This is part 3 of our 4-part series for executing the vision. We have had plenty of time to dig into the work that it takes to get our business in the direction of going, to start executing on some things that we need to do that are monumental to starting this thing that we've been procrastinating on, right? You took the time to list out a few items, started to put some action into play, even committed to some new habits as of last week's episode. So today we're going to focus on a really, really big fundamental piece of your business, and that's establishing your brand. So again, it's the Girlfriend's Guide, Executing the Vision, Part 3, Establishing Your Brand. Now, when we think about our businesses, a lot of times business is connected to the outcome, which is, for some people, it's the money. For some people, it might be a consistent customer base. For some people, it might be a particular level of notoriety. For some people, it might be just to fulfill this thing that you're really, really good at, right? So for whatever reason, you're deciding that you want to embark on building a brand for yourself and sticking to making it work. Please don't judge my nails. I still haven't gotten them done between work and work and work and work. They're not sore any longer, but I still have not had time to actually go sit down and get them done. And hopefully within like the next week or maybe 2, I will actually be able to set an appointment and stick to it. Wish me luck. Anywho, so don't be looking at my hands too hard. But as you are doing the work to discover and decide what it is you want your business to feel like for others, it is super important for you to decide and lean into the voice and total look and the presentation of your business. Like, have you thought about how I want my brand to show up for other people? What do I want my brand to make people feel like at the end of the day? Whatever the thing is that you are going into in regards to your end goal of your business, it's super important to decide how you want it to show up for others. Are you solving a problem for them? Is the voice of your brand loud? Is it strong? Is it comforting? Is it soft? Is it plush? Is it luxurious? What's the baseline? We'll start with the baseline because normally there's a thing that or a reason that people will always come back to you for, right? When you think about certain hairstylists, or you think about, when you think about certain stores, right? We know all of the time we see people comparing what they get, what experience they get when they go to Walmart versus when they go to Target. Think about that. Think about how differently these two brands show up and how differently the customer experiences these brands when they're there. People go to Walmart for a reason. People go to Target for a reason. But there's 2 different feels when you walk into these stores, and it's set that way for a reason. So I want you to think about how that shows up in the way that you're trying to make people feel about your brand. You might not be opening a storefront, right? You might be deciding that you want to do lashes from home first until you've made enough money to lease out a space to actually have customers come to your own little boutique, your lash boutique or your lash salon, whatever you will call it. How will your brand show up in that space? Wherever you will start lashing at first, how will your brand show up? And it's not just the color scheme, right? It's not just color scheme. It's not a fancy or catchy tagline. It's also the service that you provide to your customers. It's also the way you communicate with them, how quickly you respond, what words are you even using to respond. It is also things like the way that you treat them when they're late or when they arrive early. How do you ensure that the idea of what your brand will be in your mind, how does that show up in the world for the people that you want to frequent your service? So no matter what your business is, if it's candles, if it's t-shirts, if it's an actual brick and mortar store that you're trying to open, if you are trying to start a business branding business, if you're trying to start a hair care line, whatever it is, right? My hope is that there is a community of us out there that are doing a variation of things, right? I'm not sticking you into one niche. I understand that we all have different interests, but the reality is no matter how different our interests are, in order for you to reach me as a consumer, I have to feel something. I have to feel connected. I have to feel, oh my God, I have to get this thing, or I have to go to this person for this. I have to do this for that. And I'll tell you, I'll even think about like my wax, the person I go to for my waxes. Initially, it's a girl that I just met in a networking opportunity, and her services are like 45 minutes to an hour away from me. I was committed to going to her on account of the fact that rain, sleet, or snow, her space was super clean, smelled wonderfully. She always talked to me about what to do for my skin and gave me little samples of things that she felt I could try. She was always very timely. Her aesthetic on her socials were super like crisp, clean, like it spoke to what my personal needs were. And I think about how committed I was to her, and when my schedule got even worse than what it was before, when I was taking that 45 minute to an hour drive, I found someone else in the area, and I disliked it, just on account of the fact that their services were not as consistent as hers, just on account of the fact that it wasn't as aesthetically pleasing. And if you looked at their Instagram, it was kind of all over the place. They would often like contact you to try to switch your service to a different person if the other person happened to just like call in that day. What's going on here? I'm not about to keep busting it open for every person, every other, like what? No. I feel like waxing is a super intimate service, and so I don't feel like it's something that you can just rotate a staff through, right? I feel like it's something that once I get with one good wax person, I want to stick with that. Like I just want to stick to this one person. The other person's services, like it was just her. She never called me and said, hey, I can't make it today. Can you reschedule? Never. She just came. She just showed up. She was always there on time. I never have to wait. The wait would probably be one client is in there at the time getting dressed, and she's about to open the door and swap us out, wipe down the surfaces, repaper the table. Like it was a very smooth transition. Never this 30 to 45 minute wait. You're just sitting there standing, or them calling and saying, this person is available, but would you like to use this person? No, I don't. No. Nope. Figure it out. I'll reschedule when she's available, right? But her brand spoke to me in a way that I needed it. And I don't even know if she realizes she did that. Her consistency in the attitude that she shows me was a part of the brand. It's the same when you go into Target. The staff treats you a certain way, or I'll do you one better. Think about all of the things that people say about Chick-fil-A service versus going to somewhere else. I have never had an order wrong at Chick-fil-A. Never. Like, realistically, how many times have you gone to Chick-fil-A and they've gotten your order? I want to know. Like, comment. Let me know. Has Chick-fil-A ever gotten your order wrong? Have you ever pulled up to Chick-fil-A and somebody was having a bad day and took it out on you? No. They made the way that they treat their customers a part of their branding, so much so that it's a part of the way that they train the people who are hired to work there. So when you think about what are key items that you want to speak for what your brand offers and represents and stands firm on, right? Think about how you can include things that will make people walk away feeling like, I gotta do this again with this brand, with this company, with this service, with this person, because how you make people feel is a soul, and I think a lot of people skip over this part. I think a lot of people skip over the fact that my brand also speaks to the way that I make people feel when they walk in and out of here, when they're in contact with me, when they're interacting with me. It is super important to make sure that you think about how you make them feel as you are developing your brand. Do you want your brand to feel like a quick interaction? Do you want it to feel like they're learning something from you? Do you want your brand to feel like warm and comforting? Do you want your brand to feel like, oh my God, this must be the place? These are all big feelings, and these are all things that keeps people coming back. Start there. If you're confused about what I want my brand to be and how I might want it to feel, think about how you want people to walk away feeling after having experienced and interacted with your brand. That will lead you into deciding the color schemes that might make that feeling show up. It'll even lead you into the fonts that also speak to that particular brand feel. It'll lead you into the type of wording and verbiage that you will and won't use when you're talking to your customers, when you're creating ads, when you're creating social media posts. You need to be able to leverage the zone of genius. What is your business's zone of genius? If you're good at making people feel warm and welcome, everything you do, everything you post, everything you offer, it should speak to making people feel warm and welcome. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. And I think about once you sit and really think about today, like if you're on social media and you're active on social media, 9 out of 10 of the times, every 3 to 4 posts on your timeline is an ad. I don't know if you've noticed. Businesses, small businesses are big these days. And not only are they big, but they're taking over everything that we see on a daily basis, because we're on our phones all day long. People are paying for their ads to be seen, to be heard, and for people to take action on them, right? I literally got caught up on an ad today. And I've been seeing ads about this particular item probably for about 2 months, okay? But today, and I'm not even thinking of, I was not even thinking about today's topic, but this is occurring to me like right now. I just went on ahead and made the purchase, a full subscription for an item, okay? On account of how the ad made me feel. I didn't even think about that before I started talking about this. This was going to be the topic today regardless, but I didn't think about how my actions today, how you make people feel, is essential to your business. When you think about branding, start there. Start with the simple thought of, what do I want people to feel with what I'm offering them? Once you can establish that, I think the other stuff will just fall into place for you. And even when I think about the Girlfriend's Guide, I am a super girly girl, but I'm not always a girl that will run to the color of pink to express my femininity, if that makes sense. But when I thought about the Girlfriend's Guide, pink occurred to me as the color. And for me, it wasn't just the most popular shade of pink, it's all shades of pink for me. Because when I think about my girlfriends, I think about girly things. I think about fun and sleepovers and conversations and trying on outfits and going places and doing things and learning things and growing together. But there's this something comforting about pink to me in any shade. It makes me feel feminine. It makes me feel like, girl. And that's why you're going to always get different shades of pink when it comes to the Girlfriend's Guide. And as I start to build out this space, you'll see that I will be incorporating various shades of pink to express the brand and the voice and the delivery that I want the Girlfriend's Guide to have for you. But I couldn't just not start recording just because I don't have all the pink stuff that I'm taking my time, to build this space out. I don't want to rush to a purchase just because I'm really taking my time and comparing things and meddling with some new ideas about decorating this content space in my new space, right? It's tough, decorating an entire living space and then a content space as well. So as I build it out, you're going to see lots of pink here. And I want you to think about the last thing you purchased and what was the feeling that actually made you go through with that purchase. The last thing you purchased online specifically. Because a lot of times we'll see stuff and we'll see an ad for something and we see it a couple of times and we're like, that's cute, but let me keep going because I'm focused on my scroll time, right? But then something happens sometimes. Something happens, maybe not that ad may not have caught you, but this new one, maybe they have a sale, or maybe they showed a different face, or maybe they said something that caught your attention a little better than the last ad did. Think about the last time something really caught you and made you feel something and compelled even to go ahead and click purchase. Just happened to me today, weirdly enough, but I can clearly tell you that me actually making the purchase was solely on account of the fact that the ad made me feel something differently from what I had been feeling from the other ads from the same company. When you think about how you make people feel and that impact, the lasting impact that it has, that's how you think about the lasting impact your business will have. As you start to brand your business, then you're going to start to think about, how am I also branding myself and showing up in this business? They're one and the same sometimes, and then sometimes they're not, right? Like sometimes your business might be cutting men's hair. If you're a woman and you're cutting men's hair, sometimes you might have to shift from your personal brand to focus in on who you are in that male-dominated area or business. And that's cool. Maybe you don't feel like you need to separate and you're showing up one and the same. My personal brand is also what shows up in my business brand. And I think ultimately, as you decide and like go through what feelings you want your business to leave other people feeling, it'll all come to you if you need to separate or keep them one and the same. A lot of people have different businesses that they're operating in. I follow a realtor on Instagram. She's also a local here in Houston. She calls herself, I cannot think of the name. I can't think of it right now. And it's no shade. It's slipping my mind right now. But basically, like, she's a jack of all trades. Like, she is clear on the fact that she has multiple businesses. She's doing multiple things. Her hands are in multiple pots, but she is good at it. And she has these seminars where she's talking about all of the different things that she's doing, but also how to find balance in those things. And so I think that when you think about whatever you're doing, you have your career, you have this business or that business, or maybe you have a career in just a singular business, and you're trying to figure out, like, how do you fit these? I don't feel like my career, who I show up as in my career, connects to who I show up as for you guys. Two different entities requires two different two different levels of who I am, right? But I still show up and offer my 100% in the moment. As you build your brand voice, what 100%, like as you show up in your business, what 100% of you can you offer? Sometimes it's going to be the part of you where you are offering more kindness and patience towards the people that you're servicing. Then you'll go to your career and you're offering your 100% of organization and time management and this and that, right? And then you go back to your business, and today you're able to slow down with your customer base and talk them through something and make sure that they understand that you are here for them in whatever that thing might be. Either way, do you get it? Does it make sense? Okay, I hope it makes sense for you the way that it makes sense for me, because it makes sense to me, right? The thing is, the idea is that you have to decide as you show up, like, what does that look like? And what does me showing up this way do for the people that are my ideal audience? What does this do for my people? And if it's doing the thing that you want it to do, cool, great, keep doing it. If it's not quite hitting the nail on the head, go back to the drawing board. The drawing board is always there, I'll have you know. Like, it's never too far away. It's never out of reach. You're always able to go back and sit down and look at what your idea of your business is and decide, you know what? I tried this, it didn't work. I want to shift this and maybe eliminate this, or still do this but not as much, or do this but add this to that. Like, the drawing board is always there for you to reconnect to and decide what will and won't work for your business in every season. And as you are growing and leaning into the core focus and impact that you want your business to have, I think that establishing what your brand's zone of genius is, and I keep saying that statement because it's super important. When you think about your zone of genius, it is what you are extremely good at. Rain, sleet, or snow, you can do this thing, sleep, no sleep, on 0% or 100%. It is just something you are naturally good at. What is that thing, and how does it show up in your business? Because that thing, the zone of genius for your business, like, what does your business offer that no matter what, it will always be a hit with your audience? Think about that. Then put a voice to it. Put a brand name, a face, a perspective, a feeling, an impact to that, right? That's how we stand on the ground floor of what our brand is and how it shows up in the world. I know that my brand is good at this. Rain, sleet, or snow. We got this in the, like, you ever go to a restaurant and it's like one thing that they offer that they could never get wrong? What's the one thing your business offers that you could never get wrong? That you know for sure you're super good at offering, and how does that show up for your brand? Is it the star of the show? Does it pop out on occasion? Only certain people know about it. Like, if it's considered the zone of genius for your business, it needs to be dressed up with a bow and put on the front end of that thing. You hear me? Stop playing. Now, when we think about branding, it's not only just color schemes and what kind of quotes we're going to put on our posts. It's also like, what's going to give your business longevity? Can the things that I'm doing to shape my brand, can it go the long run with me? Is it going to last the test of time? There's things out here, you'll see people's logos. It's not just the logo. Your brand is not just tied to this cute little logo you created on whatever app you're using to brand yourself. Like, what will take you through the long run? Is your website name too lengthy? Can people just find you without having to like dig into what the spelling of something might be? Is it easy for them to communicate with you? These are all things that move into the baseline of your branding. People want to feel like they're connected to some of the brands that I frequent the most. I can easily always comment or communicate with the people I'm receiving a service from, especially if it's a service-based business. Like, I feel like I can usually get in contact with who I need to talk to, like, instantly. Businesses, boutiques, or stores that I buy things from online, something that keeps me going back are things like the consistency in the sizing. I've had people ask me, like, where do you shop at? Now listen, a lot of the clothes that I wear are from my boutique shop 311, and I'm currently in the process of rebranding that. So while you've been on your journey figuring your shit out, I've been working on 311. And come May, I'm gonna have some good things to talk about in regards to that. But like, other things that when I don't have on 311, there's a couple of websites that I do buy things from, and I have to be honest, the consistency around the sizing is what makes me return. Yeah. There's certain places where I can order stuff and it always fits perfectly. I used to be okay with ordering things and it being maybe I would order things too big just to go and get them altered here in town to fit my body better, because, you know, small waist, bigger hips, that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I got a stomach, but my waist is still noticeably smaller in outfits and certain clothes, and so I wouldn't mind like taking things to get tailored, because why not, right? But then also, I don't always have the time for that. So when I do find a company whose sizes fit true to size, there's some quality about the products that I'm ordering, I'm going to keep returning. But that's because on the other end of that is the person who is in charge of purchasing for that brand. They have an eye for the consistency around sizing. They understand how important that is. They took that into consideration on how that would speak to their audience and how it would make them feel, right? Everything always returns to the feeling. And that's the part that I think a lot of us don't think about when we think about businesses. I visited a brunch place near me recently, brand new place. I was kind of excited to try a new place just on account of, liking to try new things. But I got there, no one asked about seating for like the first 7 minutes of me standing there. I'm just kind of like looking around. There's no signage that says wait to be seated or seat yourself. So I just waited, because when you go into a restaurant these days, it's likely someone that's going to seat you. Houston has a lot of like pop-up, new restaurants popping up every day. So a lot of times, because you don't know their systems and routines just yet, you walk in and it's like, but there's nobody there to greet me this time. So I'm like, okay, just kind of waiting. And then a girl just kind of lazily comes up and she's like, are you waiting on someone? And I was like, well, no, I was waiting to be seated. And she was like, oh, okay, you want to sit inside or outside? And it's a beautiful day. I'll sit on the patio. I get to the patio. Cool. I notice some people are sitting with no plates or cups in front of them, which says to me that they have not been served yet. So there's about 3 or 4 tables with clean, no drinks, no previous food, like no dirty plates as if they've already had food. So in my mind, oh, okay, it's gonna be a little wait. No judgment, I get it. Like, it's breakfast, it's a brunch place. So cool, breakfast doesn't usually take that long, so I'm cool with that, right? Waitress does finally come over to my table. I order. The food took unusually long, but every order that they brought out, they had to like look around. Is this who ordered? They're like walking through this patio saying, who ordered the shrimp and grits? Who ordered the tacos? Who ordered? And oh, I got it wrong. This was supposed to be for table such and such. I look on the table. They had numbers written with like just a regular pen on masking tape, like the light brown vanilla, like looking like tape on the side of like the leg of the table. Who's gonna see that? And why don't you, the waitress, remember that you took my order here at this table? Like, it was things like that. And when I think about how good the concept of this place is, and the menu options were some pretty cute options. And I'm not going to say their name for a reason, because you want to give people room to grow, right? So I'm hoping that maybe somebody else will give them a proper review and they'll grow up a bit. Because these were like things that could have been like easily fine-tuned. I asked for a drink, never got it. I also asked for fruit to go with my meal, because you can get that as an option. I got it, but it was slimy, like maybe it was old. It was grapes, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, that kind of fruit. And you know how strawberries, after they're old, they look really mushy and kind of slimy on the outside. Raspberries as well. That's what it looked like, but it's all mixed in together, so I kind of didn't even touch it because it grossed me out. Then yeah, I never got that drink. I asked another waiter that was out there because mine hadn't come back for quite some time. And then the bartender steps out and was like, oh, well, I never made this because I don't have the products for it. Do you want me to make you something else? I mean, at this time, I'm already done with my meal. So again, how am I feeling? I feel ignored. I feel neglected. I feel, just bring me the check so I can get home. Feelings. It all returns to how you make people feel, because I can guarantee you, if it was not such a bad experience, if you follow me on social media, you would have saw that video posted of that place. You would have saw a cute little review. You would have saw what I actually ate. You would have saw my experience. But I'm also not one to tear businesses down. So I'm hoping that they'll grow some. I even considered like giving them a call this week and saying, what my experience was, and give them a few pointers on things that they could easily do to fix the issue, because it's like slow down, hold up, you moving too fast type issues. Does that make sense? Like if you could just slow down and pay attention to some of the details, you would have hit the nail on the head, right? And I think that when we think about any type of experience where we're walking to a space as the consumer, we're allowed to attach how we feel in that space to how we respond to or behave in that space. Meaning, if I don't feel welcomed when I go into spaces, or no one acknowledges me or greets me and says, thank you, welcome, can I show you? Or if you see me looking around and you don't say, oh, can I help you find something? It makes me feel neglected. Now I'm like, do I even want to spend my money in this place? And then you go to some places where it is not a norm for people to be walking around regularly looking to see if you need help. In that space, because you're used to them not doing that, it doesn't bother you. But in a space where you see them greet other people, and there's usually someone in this type of business that will show up and offer some help and ask, do you want to be seated, or let me help you find something, or can I support you on your journey today, like whatever it is, right? In those type of spaces, you're looking to be helped, talk through, walk through type situation. It all leads back to a feeling. Now, I know that a lot of times branding and marketing, it sounds like a big bowl of red tape. But I'm telling you, it is not that complicated to decide, how do I want my audience to feel when they do or interact with me? When you establish that, you'll be able to establish your brand. Meaning, if I want them to feel this is a fun time, in your mind, what color scheme goes with the fun time? And then connect it to what conversations and levels of interactions will happen in this fun time. What things will not absolutely be non-negotiable in this space, right? What types of presence will I have on the various social media platforms in this fun time? What does that look like for my social media platforms? Does that connect to my personal brand? Can I connect it to that, or do I need to keep it separate? You decide, right? But again, I want you to understand that it doesn't take $1 million to brand yourself and your business. And it also goes back to the main thing, how you want people to feel. If you want them to feel supported and heard, and, oh, I can come in here and just talk, and if you're a counselor deciding to start your own practice, right? A therapist. Do you want a comfy chair? Do you want a couch for them to actually lay on? Like, what type of therapy are we offering here? And how do you want your patient to feel when they leave? It's simple. The other things will come once you establish that space. I think, like I said, branding feels like this big bowl of red tape, when in reality, it goes back to this one key thing, the feeling. Once you establish the feeling and you're clear on that and you're consistent, you know that you can consistently provide that feeling, the other things will come to you. I hope that you've been in the work these last 2 weeks as we move into week 3, and I hope that you feel like you're doing something good and valuable for yourself and for your journey. Girlfriend, I want you to win in this season and the next one. The work that we're doing right now, it's what's going to keep you moving and moving and moving and growing and pivoting and shifting into the girl you see yourself as in the future, including the one that you are now as you evolve, right? Think about the branding. If you have any questions, you know you can always interact with me on socials or shoot me an email, and let's stay in the work together. It's been another wonderful episode. Next week is our final part of this series, and I hope that we can close it out strong together. I'm looking forward to talking with you and seeing what you've uncovered in yourself and in your business. Listen, baby, this brand is all about you. It's been a great opportunity to chat with you, and I will see you next week. Good night, girlfriend.